Hello. Excuse me. My mommy told me not to eat with my mouth full. Or I mean, speak with, not eat with my mouth full. See what happens there? Some kind of procedural malfunction. Not to talk, speak with my mouth full. It's just a test. Test two. First video I tried to make was on private, and I didn't realize that, I guess. There was one person that was viewing it. My apologies, I'm trying to experience the life of a barbarian. We take turns learning the tea ceremony. How to tie a tie. So, I'm eating some fish sticks or fish triangles. So years ago, I made a video, Project Primate. What is going on, my little friend here? Are you trying to, you're spoiled, you're begging for food. It's fish. Oh yeah, you don't want it? There's lemon and vinegar, it's it. It's fish, yeah. Salt, pepper, and vinegar, sorry. Thanks for making the squishy face. Like, well, whatever. And, yeah. I think I put coming this summer. And, wow, even by the law of averages, something's gonna go right. Coming this summer. And then there was some incidents in life. I don't know if it was that year or the next one. Coming this fall. Then more time and disruption goes by. I make jokes about trying to find Anne Frank's closet. Work on Project Primate. Excuse me. Then I put coming soon. Then that was like 4 or 5 years, who knows, years ago. So, I think I tried to use a thumbnail, I'm not sure. For the video, perhaps. I thought it would be in the background. I tried to make a video like that before. The thumbnail picture in the background of me talking. I was going to talk about the thumbnail picture. The one I just tried to put up was about the flow of electricity and water. This little diagram. So, I got my own private and personal Psy0ps log, I guess you could say, my own journal. And I got the Project Primate that I tried to start working on years and years ago. And then a fictional story I was trying to think about for years. 20, 30 years, more, 40 years. So when I was growing up, I watched shows like Buck Rogers and Planet of the Apes and Time Machine. H.G. Wells was a movie. I read the book too. And the one movie, there's a hologram at the end of the movie, reteaching the children of the earth like language and spelling and math. In the Planet of the Apes movies, there was an ape teaching the apes. Same way as that hologram, I guess. Spelling and math. Ape must not kill ape. So my story there's humans till the whole world fell apart. They got to rebuild civilization. So it's like a fictional universe, parallel Earth. Similar situation, fictional story. Got me thinking about something going on today. Or not just today, I mean something I thought of today. Years ago I watched a show, knew about the story of Lizzie Borden since high school. Heard the poem, everything. It was a movie. I think there was a channel, like Creature Features or something. Oh, excuse me. Okay, that's enough. And there was a channel that had the movie Lizzie Borden. And so Lizzie Borden's leaving the general store, and the sign on the window or the door said "No Irish." It's like, wow. I wasn't alive then, I guess, but I remember those days. I remember seeing pictures of signs that said "No Irish, no blacks, no Jews," and apparently, the Irish name was on the top there. I happened to be. Apparently, I was told. I don't know. I never did any tests, and I've got no first-hand knowledge. Looks like that. I was told I was Irish. So, I guess that's an example of something that people talk about, but. So I was writing a fictional story about that, and I was thinking about all these concepts. Growing up watching Buck Rogers and the Planet of the Apes and the Time Machine with H.G. Wells, and there's always a figure post-apocalypse, like the hologram talking, or the ape teaching the other apes. So in my story, I had some humans that survived after there was all kinds of things that were going on. Multiple catastrophes, wars, and natural disasters, and then wars and things trigger other natural disasters and everything else. It's almost like Mother Nature is just sick and tired of all the primates crap. Planted the mice and the men. So I was wondering, what are two things? One thing was the guy Aaron Ra. I learned through this Isisian code language stuff that the mile is 5,280 feet. Venus takes 225 days to orbit the sun. The words Lucifer, Satan, and even the word Illuminatus with a US at the end all mean pi. So this guy, Aaron Ra, trying to say his name correctly. I respect the guy. I listened years and years ago, a decade ago, Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism, 4.5 hours of an education in biology and science and critical thinking. Wow, he doesn't seem to have done much in the world because it seems to be ignored. It's almost like I imagined a planet where there was a cult. There was some guy like Alexander the Great, and he went around murdering Homo sapiens, and he kidnapped their children, and he raised them in a pre-built desert town where he stole all the knowledge from the Sumerians about timekeeping and the Phoenicians, about language creation, and about, isosophy and gematria with the language codes, and they put encoded knowledge into the languages or something, or at least started the formation, stole all the Latin, the logical, legal maxims, and the formulas for everything, and the allegorical, mythological stories for the chemistry and the agriculture and animal husbandry, and then timekeeping and everything, and then pretended to be Pharaoh. And hey, the sun tells me it's 2 o'clock, but you don't know that because you're a pleb. Merry Christmas, pleb. Shut up and get back to your hut while I go live in this magically built cathedral that was divinely inspired by with the knowledge of encryption is kryptonite. So in my story, there was a guy who used to, and apparently he did some research into his genealogical record and history and found out that he used to be part of some bloodline that owned 1/10 of a place called Ireland in a mirror Spock universe. All trademarks and registered copyrights belong to whatever is it, the company that owns Star Trek, Paramount, and their respective owners and all that jazz. Woohoo! So in the fictional parallel universe, there's a planet like this one, and it's all the same. So pretty much the same, like a Sliders split universe. Marty McFly's broken timeline. So now there's two universes and two Earths, but the one takes a different path. So in that other planet, this bloodline used to own 1/10 of a place called Ireland, and they used to come from some bloodline of royalty of their own kind, I suppose, and everyone's equal. According, we're supposed to be rule of law or law of the jungle, so we're all equal, right? And so somewhere along the line, the guy got tricked by a cult. Some guy, like on the Ponderosa, I'm watching Bonanza there. And everything's nice with their family, except it's like an episode of Criminal Minds or CSI. I was going to say NCIS at first, and then I went to say CSI, but then I said Criminal Minds. Well, more like CSI or yeah, even though NCIS put a little with the CSI because like it's Vegas or something. You go outside and it's dangerous outside. Safer to sit inside and watch CSI about them finding people that were robbed and murdered and everything else than it is to go outside. Not really. I'm just kidding. It's not. It's not unsafe. I'm just saying that's. And the Ponderosa, if they leave their ranch, there's people trying to get on their ranch. There's people trying to steal their ranch. Their cattle. They're trying to steal the trees. Trying to steal the silver. It's not a lot of nice people. They're like and then if somebody wiped them out, then the whole world's just one sheriff that was a nice guy, and then the next town over has a corrupt sheriff. Holy crap! This is just in one TV show, and it was apparently propaganda from the start. The only reason they made the show was to sell color TVs because that was one of the first color TV programs. And it was made specifically in color to sell color TVs, apparently. And so, imagine somebody shows up like a fake priest or some. There was the ones with the different military people from back in the day there in the 1850s and 60s and 70s. They show up on the guy's farm on the Ponderosa Ranch, and what if they, a fake guy, somebody, a highway bandit, officer priest, dresses up as the priest, shows up at the Ponderosa, says, "Hey there, Mr. Ben. If you just hand over the title to your land, you can serve, the great sky fairy, the great spirit, or whatever. I don't know. Wow. Hey, kids, that's called a train. The train goes. Perfect timing. So somewhere along the line, this guy's ancestors were tricked into handing over the title to the farm because their church needed the land to serve the gods, or if you don't hand it over, Saint Peter ain't gonna let you through the gates. So you better help us out here. Or it was overthrown by someone, and then he was kidnapped eventually. These ancestors of this guy. And his ancestors were kidnapped or murdered and everything. The children of those ancestors were kidnapped and raised in some Alexander the Great cult. They were taken to the happy-go-lucky the cult of Ur-El. We call that resort. And they were raised up, hey, forget your old gods. Forget about Saturn-El and Saturnalia and all hail the house of El and all hail the mighty Ra, the sun god, whatever, forget all that. Saul, forget it all, don't worry. And those pagan ideas, you freaking conspiracy nut bar thinking about astronomy and telling the time, You know, you will get your time clocks from us because we're the Time Lords, right? So then they, you know, they're raised. No offense, just saying, parallel worshiping parallel Earth Jesus, and it turns out it's winter solstice. But you know they get beaten. You will shut up there, Kunta Kinte. Your name is Toby, and there's no such thing as winter solstice. Psh. So then somewhere along the line, there was a guy, and he was watching this show when he was a kid called The Star Lost. Apparently, you got the title there. And then there's other movies and different things over time and stuff. You know, They Live gives you ideas. You're walking around. So there's another group of people. There's all kinds of people. There's different colonies of groups of people and social clubs and all kinds of stuff and different family groups and company groups and mafia groups and different groups and all kinds of groups of people and businesses and things and different. Well, it looks like a nice civilization. If this was a civilization of like we're all squirrels, I'm the guy going, excuse me, what does God need with a starship? Excuse me, where's all the acorns? What? Acorns? You better shut up now. Whoa. All I did was ask a question. Why is everybody getting so weird? That's weird. Found this history book said that we squirrels used to live in harmony with nature and just like acorns aplenty. And the squirrel god said, go forth, be fruitful and multiply because there's all kinds of acorns and there's, you know, crap loads of water. So, you know, enjoy yourself. All things in moderation. So then, like this guy in the Star Lost, he leaves some little farmhouse community colony he was on, and he like travels down the yellow brick road, and he meets the Wizard of Oz, going, "Whoa, where did Emerald City come from?" And then he's going, "Wait a minute! I thought the whole world was like the 17 or hundreds or 1600s. Turns out it's like the 25th century with duck dodgers, and the 24th and a half century. I thought it was like the 16th century." And here I am at this wonderful Emerald City, and then I took off these emerald glasses, and wow, this place is a crap hole. It's just a concrete jungle, and there's no acorns. There's lots of guards that beat people, like dressed like Agent Smith in the Matrix, and they tell you, shut up about the acorns. So this guy in the future on this parallel Earth, he's looking outside, and he sees there's no berry bushes, there's no acorn trees. There's no fruit trees. There's no amber waves of grain upon the fruited plain. No, because Agent Smith already came around and chopped all that down. The native people on the parallel Earth, somebody came around and cut down all their corn. Where did corn come from? Was it created by the gods? Like the guy said, the banana was shaped perfect to fit the human hand, even though it was apparently a small lump of seeds in a football shaped kind of banana before it was genetically engineered or selective breeding, plant husbandry and animal husbandry to make sheep that have like endless growing wool. Hmm. So the guy in the Star Lost leaves his little dome habitat for primates, Homo sapiens, that think they're living in the 16th century or something like that. And he goes out into like the spaceship and thing, and that's now mixing stories. It's the land of Oz. The yellow brick road has followed the money, and it turns out the wizard's just a holographic computer head or something. So bells and whistles, smoke and mirrors. Then this guy later on he realizes, well, I think I was part of that Irish bloodline that owned 1/10 of Ireland, and some fake cult priests and pirate criminals back in the day with the Jolly Roger came along and you know wiped out Grandpa and Grandma, and they took the Neanderthal grandma's berry pie recipe I said that wrong. I just made that up like yesterday or today or something. This morning, I think. Grandma Neanderthal, or Neanderthal grandma's recipe for berry pie. That goes up there with Daisy Mae Moses, grandma from the Beverly Hillbillies. Her Granny's cure for the common cold. So this guy realizes, oh wow, I'm one of a number of people who used to be part of royal bloodlines and have all kinds of sacred knowledge and stuff like that. And well, sacred knowledge like astronomy and mathematics and the origins of algebra and trigonometry and hyperdimensional force, whatever mathematics and oh, wonderful things. How to tie a rope, how to read a sundial. Wow. Nope. All taken away, beaten out of us, and then the guy. Oh, sorry, in the universe, the other parallel universe, and then the guy was taken and he put into this little fake civilization and raised up there. Like now, I'm switching to a piece of the action, Star Trek, a piece of the action. So he's raised up in the Chicago mobs of the 20s simulation, and he thinks that the world is the Chicago mobs of the 20s. But meanwhile, there's the whole crew of like a Star Trek ship floating around watching him like the Truman Show, taking notes on clipboards like, Amy watching the lab monkey on the table when she shows it pictures and triggers it in the workplace proximity episode of Big Bang Theory. So this Irish guy realizes, what if I was part of this bloodline and I woke up from this thing on this spaceship or whatever, and I used to be part of some bloodline, but a long time ago the pharaohs of that planet died out, or maybe there's still people in control running a sham, or maybe the whole civilization is just started as a sham, but then it's left to something fell apart and it's been left to try and figure its own crap out, and it can't do that because it forgot all the stuff about how Latin was invented or how a primate learned to speak or develop things from the celestial spheres to the celestial sphere, from mythological, anthropological, and Dharma Ganjalad relations to scientific terminology, mathematical formulas. Wow, that math. It's another language, eh? Wow, electrical symbols and weird, beautiful mind chalkboard math symbols that nobody understands. But hey, that's okay, man. They're just residents of the civilization. They don't know how the concrete's made in their concrete jungle or how to shape it into the buildings that they walk around in. Somebody does, or it's just all left behind. They're wandering around through like the Parthenon. Imagine if, you know what the world sometimes right now looks like to me on this parallel Earth? It's like you imagine the Planet of the Apes with chimps. The humans fell away and they're gone now. The Neanderthals fell away, and then there's these leftover Homo sapien apes, and they're walking around, these hairless chimps, on like a parallel Earth squirrel planet, and they're walking around through like the Roman Colosseum, and they don't even know where it came from. They don't know anybody that built it. They don't know how that time. There's just a bunch of apes that just learned to speak. Everybody else has been gone for thousands of years, and they're wandering around the Greek Parthenon, looking at they're living in it, but they don't know how it was made. They don't know how it works. Or then maybe there's leftover futuristic technology, and every time they use the toilet, and it's magic. And then the toilet plugs, they just go to the next building and use one over there, I guess. But if it doesn't plug, it's a sacred thing. They don't know how it works. It's sort of my dog. When my dog gets curious about how things work, I just say, oh, it's the devil's magic. Don't worry about it, because, you know. So I was wondering if that guy was part of some other bloodline, and now he woke up the guy Devin in the Star Lost, and he realizes he was a prisoner on a ship or some kind of primate 1920s mob simulation, and he wants to, it was like, hey there, why is it because I'm Irish that you won't let me go work with you at the Truman Show behind the scenes, camera 2? What's the deal? How come I can't go hang out with the, remember the people in that one Star Trek episode where they were watching the lesser advanced people of a civilization that lived, just discovering bow and arrow and things like that, and they were living. The prime directive said that they had to, hide in the mountain behind a holographic pretend mountain face, and just analyze them like lab rats and take notes with their magic computer clipboards and things. Yeah. So how's that work? So that's what I think I woke up in. I'm sitting here making this recording on a device, who said, I already thought of the idea before somebody else said, well, if you're stuck on an island, how are you going to rebuild the iPad that this is being recorded on? Anyway, there's a little bit of an idea. Logic, law books, intelligent reads. Hard stuff, most things in the universe apparently take the path of least resistance, so sometimes you gotta swim a little up the stream. I heard sometimes the elephant has to test the string around its foot. Maybe it's not the chain that he thinks it is. It's just a string. And then, hey there, Primate Management Services, PMS, because it's a bit of an irritant if they exist in the parallel universe there that walks alongside of us. Close the bay doors! Close the bay doors now! Hail Hydra. Happy Ashtar Day. Hail Eris and Discordia. Ooh. Wow. My dog can chew one of her toys, but she can't put it together. An ape can hit something with a stick, but it takes a special type of ape that's able to sit still and read a medical text to learn how to put a splint on another ape's broken leg or arm. Hey, we're thinking about Richard Pryor doing a comedy scene from some show with Robin Williams being in my Kemet playlist. I think it's the first video. Discovered brain surgery in 3 BC. Or was it the aliens? Yeah, so Corporal's Corner this morning did a nice video, and he did a rib shot kick in the groin to the guy that aliens built the pyramids. Because, like, Corporal's Corner guy there, he went outside and he chopped down a tree with his bare hands and an axe, or maybe even a camping hatchet or something. And he lugged the tree around with the rope he tied around it, and he dragged it himself like a grown-up chimp boy, like a soldier, like a warrior. And he stacked the log, and he used another log like a fulcrum and a ramp. And he said that's how the pyramids were built, using like ramps and mechanics. And wow, for people that never been outside in the city, while I hang around in the country. And there's a 50-50 thing. The country people are lacking something, and the city people are totally lacking something. But the country people, some of the girls can saddle a horse and wire your basement, but the city people don't even know how shoes are made. No offense. But then, there's some things in the city that the country people don't know. But so I travel and get to see the best of both worlds, or the worst of them all. Every once in a while, there's a little twinkle of light. Seems like that's becoming harder to see farther off in distances. Yeah, whatever. Something else I was thinking about. Because I find it to be ridiculous. And even Cobra Kai made fun of the, what? I knew it. The dinosaurs built the pyramids, man. So that's all. I don't want to get in trouble. Peace and love to everyone. and a peace treaty with the zookeepers. Hey, why can't we be friends? Sorry I woke up, or oh, sorry, I'm talking about my guy in the fictional universe. This is I'm practicing the dialogue. When I grew up, I remember watching. What is it? What was his name? Anyway, Mr. Brady. He was the architect. He wandered around. Greatest jobs growing up. Bewitched husband working at an advertising agency. Sit around trying to think up like stare into space. Wow. And Colonel Nelson with Daydream of Genie, you know, just make, keep the rocket plans or something. Colonel Steve Austin, again with the rocket plans. Mike Brady, an architect, sitting around drawing, building toy houses all day. Walking back and forth in your den, practicing your speech. Or if you're writing a story, playing the parts of the characters as you write their dialogue. So that's what I was doing. Because any similarity between my life and actual events is purely coincidental. I mean, the fictional events as well. And all that. Because again, I'm talking with my mouth full. My mommy, she told me not to do that. She also told me I could cross the road if I looked both ways. So that's a little bit of an idea on a fictional story, as well as some insight. Project Insight. You need insight, said Zola's algorithm guy. So you got I'm trying to Project Primate there from, I don't know, years ago. Some other place I was at. Now I found some place, but it's not quite Anne Frank's closet where I can write my diary hidden from, maybe somebody wants to take my version of the new Coke formula. I got the info on the Cadbury secret. But don't worry. I saw the sign. Hair. Is that what's that song? The Hair song? How's it going? The, your long hair. Sign, everywhere sign. Breaking up the scene, or busting up the scenery, breaking my mind. Is that how it goes? Do this, don't do that, can't you read the sign? Remember all that? Yeah, wow. History repeats itself. So I was trying to find a place to write a story or work on my project, but I've never been able to do that. Now I found some place that seems nice, but it just, for some reason, I can never get left alone. I can never be without kind of scrutiny. And if I'm writing some kind of project or story like mine, I think it's somewhat unique. It seems to have attracted attention. It bugged somebody. Maybe I was hitting a nail in a parallel universe close to some vibrating tuning fork frequency that would echo into the alternate universe. Excuse me. Hey there, peace to you, zookeepers. Primate Management Services, thank you for your service. I think in my fictional story, the character involved, he requires a level of service that is not able to be provided by the zookeepers. So the only next stage in evolution is to become a zookeeper. Make a peace treaty with someone that claims the zookeepers decided to claim that the residents of the Chicago mob or the 20th civilization that had the acorns and the Kunta Kinte beaten out of them, they don't know, they declared them the enemy because they don't know. The Morlocks declared the Eloi the enemy. guess. But the e-lawyer, like, hey, what's the problem? Why you gotta have the dingo steal my baby? Why stealing the babies and raising them up in another cult? Why can't? And then if they're part of that bloodline that you hate or don't like or declared an enemy and decided to raise in some fictional planet Earth, who knows? As a zoo animal. How come one's related, one's allowed, one's not allowed? How's this work? So just ideas for a fictional story in a parallel universe, trying to figure out how things work. And then it's weird because it seems to make me sad. It breaks my heart, I guess. Wah. About how I perceive things in the real world because I'm looking outside going, wow, if this was a planet of a squirrel civilization, they just don't know what an acorn is. And if I went outside going, hey, have you ever heard of acorns? It's like I'm in the movie Idiocracy going, why don't you water the plants? And they're like, what are you talking about? That's just ridiculous and crazy. Rondo has electrolytes, you right wing, left wing, upside down, central conspiracy nut bar. There's no such thing as water in the plants. What are you trying to be, a joker? Oh well. I don't know how well this turned out or if the speaker's working because sometimes the speaker works and sometimes apparently it didn't work. And then this is going to take like 3 years to upload. And I only wanted to just talk about a small fictional story, perhaps mention an idea, elaborate it into something else where I think I can talk forever. Or not forever, but like an hour and a half, which is sometimes what I usually do. Go to talk for 10 minutes, ends up being 40. And then when I realize it's 40, I spend another hour and a half talking, and then like it's too much of a video to upload. So I got 2 or 3 videos. I got at least two that are 3 hours, 14 minutes, and 15 seconds long. Because I was trying to do it to pie. I just kept talking, trying to. But I've said more in this one than I did in maybe the other two. All right, that's it for this time. I was just testing this stuff out. I don't know. I've seen people coming and going, I think, so I don't know what that's about. Or if anybody can hear me or how this is working out. I guess I'll have to see. Have a nice day.